Alright, so I have another Q&A video for you, and I'm outside, and I'm wearing a hoodie and yay for the desert. But first, I'm going to stay up really close for this part, but I have all your names in a bucket. I had to dump out my colored pencils, and they're all on Post-its, so they're kind of sticking together. I'm going like this. I'm going to close my eyes and pick one. And get the one that's stuck to it off of it without opening my eyes. And the winner is Artist Loft Cafe. And you actually posted it on the blog, so I hope I have your email or way to contact you. But send me a message and you will win a stamp! And I have another giveaway for this video, so let's get to the questions. Printed off right here. So I'm going to start on the blog, and just a little FYI, if I don't answer your question today, it's not because I'm ignoring you. Oh, look at that, I can make myself look more bright. It's because I've decided I want to do a video on your question, and I'm doing videos every other week, and they will be 1 or 2 parts, and so that might be every week. But yeah, I had tons of great questions, and if I don't answer yours, it's because I'm going to do a video. You can see the temperature, it's 63 degrees outside. I should stand in the light where there's light. Okay, got tons of compliments on my hair. Thank you, I love it. Let's see. Xana asked what model HP printer I have, and I think somebody else. I'm supposed to be talking fast so I can answer everything or not. Somebody else asked about the HP. I had a couple questions about it. The HP is a color LaserJet CP1215 that I got when Office Depot was going out of business. And it's awesome. I printed this on it. It's not in color, but there you go. And it takes like that. I can't snap because my hand's in a brace, but it printed really fast. And I love it. Sometimes has issues, but I think all printers do. But the reason that the paper that I talked about last week for printing on, I did say it's good for laser and for inkjet. So I can print using it on either printer and it comes out really, really beautiful. I've done prints in collage books and stuff with the laser printer and they come out gorgeous. So a lot of it has to do with light fastness, fading, archival inks, all that kind of stuff. So I use both printers for stuff though. The laser one I use mostly for collage books because if you paint over the stuff from a laser printer, it doesn't smear, where an inkjet printer it will. There's your difference. Sharon asked, when working with various media, acrylics, watercolor, gel mediums, pens, spray inks, etc., do you have any suggestions for a preferable order of laying them down? I think my last video kind of covered this, but from what you have given me, I would do spray inks, watercolors, acrylics, then gel sticks and gluing stuff down, then pens. I always do pens last, and I do them like later so they don't kill the pens. Artist Loft Cafe, our winner, asked, I want to start a blog. Do you have any advice for getting one started? Who is the best to go through? And also, okay, thanks for putting up other videos. You're welcome. Let's see. I do blog design, so I've done WordPress, Blogger. I use Squarespace. I pay for it though. TypePad you pay for. Honestly, from what I've seen, Blogger is actually pretty damn good. The layouts are really flexible. I did work for Tracy Hansen on her blog on Blogger, and it was great, and it seems to post things good. So go with Blogger. It's free, and you can do really cool stuff on it for free. I use Squarespace. I think it's the best blogging platform in the world, but I pay $20 a month for it, and I'll be paying more because I'm going to put up forum section and custom forums, and you can make your own login and all kinds of really cool stuff. So when you're starting though, start with Blogger, and I would say if you have the money, get a domain name, because I switched so many times that people lost me for a while. But if you have a domain name, like mine's journalgirl.com, and you switch services, when people type in journalgirl.com, they will always find you. And domains are really cheap these days. You don't even need hosting. Just if you have the money for one, I would get one. Just, you know. La la la. Stokey said, can you tell us the difference between Adirondack Color Wash and their alcohol inks? Okay, I have a little story for this. I'm talking about fast, I'm sorry. One of my friends is Dina Wakely, and she's a Ranger U educator person, and so I was asking her, I was like, what's the difference between the color wash and the alcohol inks? Can I just put the alcohol inks in a spray bottle and boom? And she said, no, don't put the alcohol inks in a spray bottle and make a spray wash out of them because of stuff that's in them, and it's alcohol and it's aerosol and everything. The color washes have dye in them, and they're awesome and fantastic. And somebody asks later on what sprayings I recommend and what colors I recommend. So I love the sprayings because I use them on a paper where I can like make them watercolory, and I adore them. I think my neighbor's coming. Okay, you're gonna hear random noises come outside. So I have Radiant Rain, I have Glimmer Mist, I have Lindy Stampkins sprays. These are all with binders in them. They're beautiful. Radiant Rain is gorgeous colors, but they're not going to spread. I love the color washes, and my favorite colors, I wrote these down for you, because Holly asked. She's on a budget, so what starter colors would you want? My favorite colors are Lettuce, which is a green, Sunset Orange, which is a really great orange, Stream is a dark blue, Wild Plum is a purple, and Butterscotch is kind of like this yellow. And you would think, oh, that would look gross, but it's like this gorgeous yellow orange that when you combine it with other colors, it looks really cool. So, yes, but also Xana replied to the first question, and she talks about how she's made a bunch of her own, and I have too, because I will get spray bottles from Sally's, and I will mix fluid acrylics with water, I will mix Liquitex inks with water, I will mix watercolors with water, so there's a lot that you can mix with water, and make your own spray inks with that, but they're going to be like, I don't know, maybe they would be like the color wash because they won't stay. So, my neighbor's walking downstairs. Okay. Teresa was asking, she's the one who asked the original Copic question, and she says that she sees a lot used over acrylic paint, and it doesn't work for her, which is right, because they're alcohol-based markers, and they are going to pull up paint at times. The multiliners are the same ink as the Copics, so I have like a various black refill, and it's the same stuff, but for some reason it stays a little better. So the multiliners, they basically are pens, but they're pens with the same black. So like if you use a multiliner black and then a Copic black, it's going to be the same. Let's see. And Chinellos. I'm really bad with pronouncing people's names. But you asked, I'm interested in getting an airbrushing compressor. Nothing expensive, of course, other than I'm a hobbyist. Okay, so I have an airbrush and a compressor. I have the Copic system. So I have the little attachment that attaches, and I shove my Copic markers in there and just use them that way. And then I have various ink refills for my Copics. I love it, love it, love it. My compressor is like 30 years old that I found in my basement from my dad's print shop. But any small hobby one would do. I don't know, shop around for a small one, but I really love the Copic system. And actually the Copic airbrush system, if you get the kit, which I recommend getting the kit that comes with like the hose and the attachment and like the bottle of longer lasting stuff, you don't need an airbrusher. So get the kit and play around with it. You don't need an airbrush, like a compressor, play around, and if you're just a hobbyist, that might be enough for you. That's my answer. That's my dog, he wants to come out. Natalie asked, just wondered what stamp pads you use and do they work better on certain papers or over paints? So here's a sampler of the stamp pads that I use for black, and I usually just stamp in black most of the time. I have it stays on black, I love it, it stamps on everything. I use these little mementos, they're like little teardrops. I got these at CHA 2 years ago. And I use, distressing. So you can see, I don't use pigment pads, I use dye pads, and I use stays on, and I haven't had a problem with them. I really like them. I've done watercolor techniques with all of them, except for the stays on, obviously, because it stays on, it doesn't go off. And so yeah, that's what I use, and I like them. I'm not a huge rubber stamper though, so if you use rubber stamps a lot, you might, maybe pigment's better. I don't know. I don't like them because they stain my clear stamps, but yeah, that's what I use. And I stamp over paint most of the time. I rarely stamp on anything that hasn't been painted. I even dye muslin fabric with paint, or the Adirondack sprays, and then I stamp on them and it works. Now we're going to YouTube. Lunacore asked, how do you choose colors to use? Is it intuitive or do you go by a color wheel? I don't have a color wheel and I don't use a color wheel. It is intuitive. It's whatever I pick up. I just kind of sit down and I'm like, I want to paint, and I grab whatever paint I can reach that looks pretty, and then that's what I use. And it's a lot of experimentation too, of figuring out what colors look good with other colors, so you really just have to like just say screw it and just start using colors together, and that's how you find out if they look good together to you or not. Pretty much, that's how it works. Pretty Poetry, and I think somebody else asked this, asked about paintbrushes. Oh, it's windy out. I don't want these papers to blow away. Hello, I'm really close to the camera again. I use these 4 paintbrushes for everything. Pretty much. I don't use any other size or anything. I use the Golden Tack-On. This one is an angular 1/4 inch. This one is an angular 1/2 inch. This one is an angular 1 inch. And this one is a round 4. And I get these at Jerry's. They're pretty inexpensive, but that's what I use. I used to get cheaper brushes, but they die faster. But a really good one that you can get is if you go to like the paint wooden things section of Joann Fabrics, they have those kind of brushes with like squishy grips on them for like $1 each. And that's what I used for a long time. And I would just, if I didn't take care of my brush, I would just spend another $1 on a new one. That answers your question. Bon Bon Scraps asks, what is your favorite watercolor pencils? Or what are your favorite watercolor pencils, I should say. These Derwent Inktense pencils. I love them. What's cool about these is they're watercolor pencils. They're really bright and vivid, so I use them all the time. And when they dry more like ink, so you can work over top of them without them smearing all that much, if you work on them on paper. So if you work on them over paint, they'll smear. But if you're just like coloring on paper and then do them with water, then they won't go anywhere, which is great. Phantom Beauty asks, what's my favorite technique? That one's a really hard one. I think my favorite technique, I like writing stuff. I like with like my round brush with watercolors or acrylics or inks. I like writing and doodling. That's pretty much it. I know I do a ton of techniques, but my favorite part is that part. What is the best brand of acrylics, and is there truly a big difference from a 50-cent bottle to a very expensive one? This I learned. The craft paints have a lot of water in them and not a lot of pigment, so you're going to use more of them and the colors aren't as bright and vivid. Whereas expensive paints have more pigment in them and less water. That's why they're a little more glossy, and you can see people, when they use expensive paints, they add water to theirs and they last a lot longer. The more you do art, the more you're going to spend money on paint. My favorite lately has been, Liquitex has a brand of basics that are like these big huge tubes of paint, and I've been using those. My friend Connie of Dirty Footprint Studio, she uses a lot of those in her studio, and that's where I saw them and tried them, and then I started buying them. Like my white and my beige and stuff are from that, because they're like $3.50 and they last a long time. I love fluid acrylics, so I do use golden fluid acrylics, and lately I've been trying the Matisse paste flow. They're pretty nice. Who is your favorite artist, both very famous one and up and coming, other than art journaling? What art do you like? Let's see, my favorite artists are, I love Tracy Bautista's stuff, because like I said, I like doodling and writing with markers and paintbrushes and stuff. I love Kurt Halsey. He's one of my favorite artists. Sabrina Ward Harrison is one of my favorite artists. Monet is one of my favorite artists. And I can't, oh man, you guys, okay, in the comments you're going to tell me this, but I used to live in Chicago. I lived 3 blocks from the Art Institute of Chicago, and there's the painting where they're Sunday at the Park, and it's all made out of dots, and I would just stand there like this. Like every time I went there for like 10 minutes, I would be like that. I love that painting. Robert Rochbar, or however you say his name, I don't know how to say things. there's a couple other artists, and I don't know their name, that I did see when I went to the Phoenix Art Museum, but I don't know their names. Other than art journaling, I like watercolors and impressionists. I like abstract art a lot, and I mean I do like collage art, but I'm like pretty big into abstract art. I'm learning to like watercolor art though, when people like draw people and do really whimsical characters. Stephanie Puimoon Law, shadowscapes.com. She was one of my favorite artists when I was like 13, when she just started out. I actually used one of her paintings on my website because it was when she was first starting and she hadn't published a book and like a million other things. So yeah. Let's see. Then I have 2 questions, right? Yeah. Will's Mine said, I often wonder your advice on how aspiring self-taught artists should get started or any pitfalls to avoid. And then Incredipickles, I love these usernames. What tips do you have to overcome inspiration block? Let's see. Inspiration block. I sit down and start doodling. I don't like the idea of writer's block or inspiration block. I think I'm a lot like Stephen Pressfield says in the War of Art. You have to show up to the page. Natalie Goldberg says the same thing. Julia Cameron says the same thing. So you have to show up. If you're blocked, sit down, show up, and start doing stuff. If you're not inspired by anything at all, go take a walk. Go to an art museum. Go to a cultural museum. Go to a new part of town that isn't dangerous. Dangerous, I've been through those parts of town too, and they're inspiring in fear. Because I'm a white girl from the suburbs. And then, any advice for self-taught artists and what pitfalls to avoid? Everything for me has been really accidental. I'm like a child bumbling around in the dark, making things, and people like them, and I'm really happy about it, so I make more things and share more things. Go to an art class. Like, I started drawing one like 3 weeks ago, and already I can feel myself shifting and changing and learning something. So go to an art class. Like, also people take workshops from art journalers and stuff, but I mean like go to like an actual, like I'm at the community college taking an art class from an artist who's awesome named Edna. Pitfalls to avoid, always just, I don't know, like I've always just been open and honest, and that's how I've made friends with like known people, because they're people too, and don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be so afraid of sending your stuff in that you'll not send it in. Like, that's how I got started writing articles, is I just sent stuff in because I thought I had something. Just blindly sent in a journal, sent in photographs of I started in altered wearable art, actually. Don't know if you know that, but that was my first article, was about wearable art. Don't think that because you didn't go to school that you're not an artist. Don't think that because you didn't go to school you don't have talent. Don't think that because you didn't go to school you have no right to be in the community. Don't think because you didn't go to school you have nothing new to offer. Don't think that because you didn't go to school you should just shut up and sit down because everyone else knows more than you. I've run into times when people know more than me, and I think a lot of it is the attitude you have. For instance, my last video I talked about Noodler's ink and I said that was permanent, and I got a comment that it's not permanent, it's only permanent on paper because it has to soak with cellulose. And I think there's 2 ways you can react to that. You can be like, oh my god, why are you correcting me? I didn't mean it, you're so mean. Or you can take the way that I took it, which was, oh, I didn't know that, that's really cool. And then the next time I say anything about that product, I will say, you know what though, somebody corrected me and said, you know, it's this. So it's kind of like your attitude, just be nice to everyone, I think would be the thing. Okay, this is probably like a rambly 15 minutes of me standing out on my patio in a skirt. I'm wearing a skirt. So I'm gonna go now and say bye. So if you have a question and you didn't ask last time, or you're new, hello. You can enter a comment here or on the blog, and your prize this week is Mr. Kiwi's white spray ink. All you have to do is leave a comment here on YouTube or on the blog. I love all of you who click like and have subscribed recently. We're going to have a great time in 2012 with tons of tutorial videos here and other places on the web, because I've been asked to contribute to other people's blogs and stuff. It is really cool. And So yeah, stick around, we're going to have a ton of fun. Ask your questions. Like I said, if I didn't answer your question or I didn't go into a lot of detail, it's because I'm probably going to do a video about it. Like next week we're doing sewing, like freehand stitching with your sewing machine, because somebody was like, oh, that would really be helpful, and I'm like, cool, I will totally do a video for you about that. So that's how it works. And love you all, and I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next week with more questions and answers. Bye! I'm gonna hit stop. Bye!